Now, there's two things that I can think of right off the bat that need to work in order for this new arrangement to be up to snuff. One is this needs to be an autofill, because the previous one, it was not an autofill for date or particulars or age, and these are actually supposed to be buttons. But for event and place, it's important, especially for place, it's important it has to be an autofill. I'm sure it can be, but I've never used a text widget to make an autofill. I've always used an entry widget. But the first thing that we're going to do, which might be a little bit easier than that, we're going to get this to show up as a multi-line widget if the words get to here and keep going. So we've got some word wrap options set to where it won't break in the middle of a word, but I'm pretty sure that if this word is too long, it's just going to not show up. So we need to make that line, make it taller if it has more stuff in it. Make it extra long on this one word. That way, we'll see if it wraps. It just disappeared somewhere and it's not wrapping. It's not increasing the height of the widget because we gave it a set height. Let's remove the set height and I'll show you what it would do if it didn't have a set height. There it is, height. Okay. Let's take this out. Tkinter has a certain height for their widgets that is default. Anyway, here's what happens. It breaks between words someplace, wherever it's convenient, and then shows the whole thing. Put that back. Now what we need is for this to be variable depending on what's in there. And I've done it before, so let's go find out what happened last time. That one I showed you already. It's called message copyable. So that looks pretty easy. Set height. Let's just copy this here. Wrap word, take focus 0. I don't think take focus matters. Alright, let's just copy this and let's copy the instructions too. So we're going to insert, set grid. Oh, I see, the grid it, and then we set height. We really don't need instructions. That's pretty easy. Put this in cell. Answer is wrong first time through the main loop, so you have to run update idle tasks. Lines equals, you're going to count from the first character on the first line. This is the first line. This is the first character, all the way to the end. Display lines is the parameter in this count method. So there's a count method in the text class where you have a third parameter that if it is display lines, then who knows what that means. We'll look it up in a second. Then we're going to configure the height. Oh, I see. Display lines returns the number of lines that is needed in order to display the text. And then you set the height equal to that number of lines. And then we got to do this tag configure thing, which we'll just copy the code. I'm not conversant with the extra stuff that you can do with text widgets. Tag configure left. Justify equals left. Tag add. And we're adding this tag, whatever that means, and we're not going to do this. I wanted to look up display lines just for the fun of it. You see how it's a very big section in the manual. See what it says about display lines. Oh, 8.6. See, this manual is for 8.5, but Tkinter 8.6 has count display lines in case of word wrap. Must have found that on Stack Overflow or something, because I'm not smart enough to go to the Tkill site and figure out from the non-Python version of TK. So after gridding it, we set the height. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Oh my, I didn't mean to get so excited. Everything else is 1 like we told it to be, but this one got changed. That's what I wanted to see. Before, when this was a label, a multi-line label, these would be centered here, you know, centered up and down wise. What if we had a row configure to where any extra space got split up above and below this? No, these are all expanding to be this size. I'm just going to be happy with that for now. That is the text widget right there. And if you keep going, oh, well, look at that. That's nice. You can't do that with a label. Not even close. Oh boy, I'm glad we did this. I've never tried this before. That makes me feel happy inside. Now we're going to do something challenging. That was easy because I'd done it already. It was challenging before. Years ago when I created message copyable, I more or less sweat blood over that. But once I got the answers and it came right together. What we need to do at this point is to inherit from cell to create a autofill cell. Sounds a little scary, but the autofill is not that complicated. I've been using them forever. They're a pretty stable product. I figured it out myself. Been using them for a long time. I got several of them. So there's one for that first column, which is the event. That's this. There's one for places. Let's see if there's an autofill in here someplace. Entry auto place. That's what that is right there. We're going to have to use this as a model for one, and then auto event type, which inherits from entry auto. So maybe we have to make a cell auto and then inherit from that. I don't like to go inherit, but it does prevent a lot of repetition. Inheriting widgets is pretty standard behavior. I think you really kind of should inherit widgets. The only difference between this one and this one, which is what we're going to need in the first column that has events in it, event types. The only difference is it creates a list of event types, and that's the only difference. Now this is a class level. It's before init, so it's a class level attribute, this here method. Here's what I'm going to do. Copy all the code, put it in a cell auto, which I haven't made yet. There's cell, and it's not an autofill. Okay, so we're going to do this. There's all the code, and then after we make this class, which I'm fixing to do, then we'll go through and change everything that needs to be changed since it's not an entry anymore. It's now a text widget. Copy this part, put this here, and this cell, we're going to call this cell autofill. And we're going to inherit from cell. And there's no way that's going to work till we go through and fix some things. This is not needed. It's already been done. Where's values? Oh, I see. I don't think I want to do this. If you don't want an autofill, you use cell, instantiate cell. If you do want an autofill, you instantiate cell autofill. So all these methods and stuff, this all is available in here also. So what people don't like about inheritance, amongst other things, is if you want to know what this does, you got to look in here to find out. You got to add here because this is not the only thing that's bound to focus in event on that widget. We're looking for stuff that works differently between entry and text widgets. And that's mostly when you go insert and delete. We'll keep the original so I know why I'm doing this till it works, then I'll delete it. But this is going to go 1.0 because you got lines in an entry. You go line 1, character 0 instead of just saying character 0 like you do in an entry. So we're looking for insert and delete amongst other. There you go. See, that has to be fixed. Work for a text widget instead of an entry widget. Most of this code has nothing to do with whether it's an entry or text. This, I don't know if we need to do this. Let's see if there is a select clear. See, this is a built-in method for the entry widget. Let's see if there is one in the text widget. Look at all those methods that the text widget has. Lots of methods. I don't see any select clear. Let's just get rid of that for now. Hope we don't need it. It was a complication. It was actually a hack. I never liked doing it. Oh, good. I didn't want two things to focus in either. Focus events tend to get a little hairy because they depend on what's in focus, and it sometimes turns into a round robin. You know what I mean? All right. Cell autofill. Here in the table, and it's going to be a cell autofill now. And we're going to go up here and make some values. Let's say this is going to be for column 0, which is event type. Autofill is not defined 156. Get rid of that. See, when you have that extraneous parameter here, you got to do all kinds of fooling around to make it not be a problem. Why not just inherit from the one you want to inherit from instead? Let's see what happens. Let's see, M index 1. That's what I thought. We've got more to do based on the fact that it's a text and not an entry. So 197 get. So we're going to go to the get method. Get is below, not in the right order. There it is. Oh, look, index 1, index 2. Retrieve the current text from the widget. Starts at index 1. If you omit the second argument, you get the character after index 1. If you provide a second index, you get the text between those two indexes. If the range includes multiple lines, they are separated by new line characters. So let's just say we want to index 1, that is line 1, character 0, and let's just pretend that this is going to work here, and we'll find out if I'm wrong. Next problem, can only concatenate string, not int, to string on line 205. So apparently POS is a string. Show hits, and position. Okay, self.position. Unlike the entry widget, I believe this is actually a string. That's why we're having an incompatibility between one index and another index. Obviously that's not 1.0, it's not a float number, it's a string. So there's going to be some finagling have to go on here, because really this has two things in it. This is a line number and a character number. Type an M and same problem. Well, yeah, because position, we probably expect that to be an integer because we used to be doing an entry, now we're doing a text. And then we're trying to add an integer to whatchamacall. Self.position equals self.index insert. And then you see down here self.iCursor. That is a method of the entry widget, and I doubt that it's a method of the text widget. We'll just look real quick. Those are two very different widgets. This is going to take some rewriting. And in order to rewrite it, I'm going to have to understand it. Fortunately, I wrote it myself, so there is hope that I can figure out what this is doing, why it's doing it, how it works, so that I can make it work with a text widget. So that's what our plan is. Thanks for showing up. Talk to you next time.